For those whose lives were forever changed by the 2017 attack, today's decision is a painful disappointment. Eamon Derbali was shot by Alexandre Bissonnette 7 times.
We were astonished and we were very upset after this sentence. And we don't know how he gave this sentence.
It took more than 5 hours for Justice François Huot to read his 246-page decision. In it, he said the day of the attack will remain forever written in blood in the history of this city, this province, this country. He said when Bissonnette went to the mosque that night and began shooting, it was planned and premeditated, motivated by a prejudice and a visceral hatred for immigrants who are Muslim. Inside the courtroom, the widows gathered in the front row heard Huot describe their husbands' deaths. The emotion was too much for Azzedine Soufiane's wife and daughter, who briefly left the courtroom in tears. The Crown prosecutor, survivors, and the victims' families had asked the judge for consecutive periods of parole ineligibility, 25 years for each of the men he killed. 150 years would have been unprecedented, but the judge said a sentence without a chance of parole in his lifetime would be disproportionate and cruel.
It's been a long and tough process for the victims' families. We want to salute the courage and we wish them well in the future. Since today's decision, it's a very, very long decision by Justice Huot, we will take the opportunity to read it and see if we will or not go to appeal in this case.
Members of the Muslim community say they are shocked and sickened that Bissonnette will be eligible for parole at 67.
Very likely these orphans will be still alive, and the debate will be open again, and they will relive again what we lived today. We were wishing to have the peace of mind and to have these widows and these orphans starting their life in dignity and peacefully and start a new page.
Je suis estomaqué. Je suis abasourdi. Je suis choqué. Je ne sais pas comment exprimer ça, mais je me demande est-ce qu'on est traité de la même façon que nos concitoyens canadiens.
The judge said Bissonnette's mental state, his anxiety, panic attacks, and suicidal thoughts contributed to his crime. He said the sentence should reflect that he pleaded guilty and expressed remorse. As he read Bissonnette his decision, Huot told him his hate and racism destroyed dozens of people's lives. Their grief now is mixed with new anger and sadness because they feel justice was not done. Alison Northcott, CBC News, Quebec City.
First-degree murder in Canada carries an automatic life sentence, but there has been a change in recent years in how long an offender has to wait before applying for parole. And that's where today's confusion seems to lie, because 40 years doesn't seem to fit.
We've allowed judges to impose consecutive sentences in case of multiple murder.
The change that began in 2011 seemed simple. Before that, whatever the number, multiple first-degree murder sentences were served concurrently at the same time. But since the change, judges can make such offenders serve them consecutively, one at a time, stacking up, so to speak, as long as they were stacked in blocks of 25 years. So 25, 50, 75, and so on. But not today in Quebec City. Justice François Huot said 25 years was too lenient, but he thought 50 years was cruel and unusual. So he decided the law was unconstitutional and changed it to allow him to tailor a 40-year sentence, a first for Canada, and immediately open to scrutiny.
It means we're probably going to have appeals. We'll be reading about this for a while. It'll probably go to the Supreme Court.
If it does, the sentence imposed today on Alexandre Bissonnette could itself be re-examined and revisited.